And great to have you with us here on this Monday nighttime anew. Dave Goucher, Shane Hnidy with you as the Golden Knights get ready to leave here shortly. They'll head to Vancouver, British Columbia for a 3-game trip through Western Canada, and they will do it after a lopsided 7-2 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets at T-Mobile Arena. We're going to get to that. We're also going to be joined by Golden Knights head coach Bruce Cassidy. It'd be a real good time, Shane, to catch up with the coach. They're on a real good run, notwithstanding the Calgary game here. If you look big picture, what they've been able to do since the All-Star break, the Golden Knights have been, if not the best team in the league, one of the best. I think right up there with the LA Kings, a team they're chasing, or Kings are chasing the Golden Knights for the Pacific Division and for the top spot in the West. But what a difference a 7-2 win feels like compared to a 7-2 loss against Calgary on Thursday.
Well, I think about it, and something we've talked about a lot is that break, how important it was, the All-Star break for the Golden Knights. The words they said, reset, recharge, however you want to phrase it. But really them coming back prepared to play the right way, to get back on track, and they've certainly done that. There's been a few blips, and, we'll have Bruce Cassidy here. I'm sure there's, as he said after that Calgary game, he felt there were some areas defensively they'd gotten loose over the last 6 games or so leading up to it that they wanted to correct at practice. And they've been playing a ton of games every second day. I think, that Calgary game, and we've talked about it, Dave, that East Coast trip, kind of bouncing around. Actually went to the Midwest, then back to the East at the final, then back home, just that day in between for the third time they've done it. They've been scheduled losses, if you want to call them that, coming back. Just the Rangers, the Blues, and then Calgary. Those games from returning from East Coast with just one day. It's a tough task, and they haven't found a solution for it yet. But that said, bounce back in a big way. I think there's parts of early in that second period they wouldn't be happy with. Yuri Patero was great, but the good thing is they got the offense going. They got some guys they needed. Phil Kessel hadn't scored in 15. Jack Eichel hadn't scored in 7. He picks up the hat trick. Pavel Dorofeev continues to prove his worth, is what you got to do as a young player. You've got to continue, I think Bruce Cassidy said, sustain that level of play. That's the difference of being a call-up to becoming a permanent NHLer.
It's too bad the Golden Knights are done with the Eastern Conference.
Exactly.
They've cleaned up against the East, the best record they've ever had in their history against the East. They finish their Eastern Conference part of their schedule at 22-8-2, so the best mark of any team in the West over the East. But now you get into, Shane, these final 11, 12 games of the season, including the next 5 against the Pacific Division. That is the one area, and Bruce Cassidy is on his way into the studio here momentarily that we're going to touch on with him. But their record is really good against the other 3 divisions except their own. Now, that being said, they're still number 1 in the West. They're still number 1 in the Pacific. So they have been able to make up for that. But now they've got a heck of an opportunity here with these next 5, and especially this 3-game trip to Western Canada, head-to-head against teams that are chasing them in the West. Vancouver's out of it, I get it, but Calgary and Edmonton more specifically.
And these are the games you want. And before, I'm just going to touch on that East record before I move on to that, is it's great because all we've heard all year long, the West, it should just play everybody out of there. Or the East, excuse me. Just the Eastern teams. They're the strength. Nobody in the West. Well, you look at the Golden Knights' record. It's, I don't know what book Bruce Cassidy brought over from coaching there so long, but he has a good one. He has a book of secrets we'll have to ask him about. And then, you look at the schedule now for the Golden Knights heading in. This is the type of hockey you want to play. You want to prep yourself best you can heading in the playoff. You don't want to just coast and then flip a switch when you get to playoffs. These are big games. They've got Edmonton twice, who's right there. They've got the Kings. Calgary, who's going to be a desperate team. They even finished with Seattle. You look at those last 2 games, who could possibly be opponents. So meaningful games that, that's what you want for tune-ups heading into the playoffs.
Well, the Golden Knights, as we said, they head out on this 3-game swing. It'll be Vancouver tomorrow night, then Calgary on Thursday, and the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday. We mentioned that Golden Knights head coach Bruce Cassidy was going to join us. He's getting settled in his chair as we speak.
It's not as easy as it looks.
Headset on.
Those chairs, I'll tell you.
Yeah, he's going to be athletic, which Shane and I don't have that problem at all. But great to have you with us here, Bruce, and thanks for your time as always. Just, I guess, first things first, Shane and I joked around at the start of the show, and we talked about it on TV yesterday. The difference in mood between a 7-2 win and a 7-2 loss. I'd be curious what it's like for the head coach, the change in mood between one game to the next.
Well, those games are nice for everybody, right? Especially at home. Hat trick, lots of good plays, offense. I didn't think either score was indicative of the game to me personally. Like, both Calgary deserved to win. We deserve to win, but not by 5 goals. So I look at it that way. Maybe it's just a little, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, karma, or just comes around, goes around. So, but good to get one before we head out on the road. Points are tough this time of year. You got to make sure you keep getting yours. Check that box of playoffs, and we're getting closer and closer.
We were just talking about your record. That finishes the East with Columbus, and I don't know did you bring a book of secrets over from the East from coaching?
Well, you're there for 6 years, right? You should know something.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you got guys that have been in the West, but yeah, now you've got the West and all these meaningful games. I was saying, kind of like that as a player heading into the playoffs. These are the games that you've got to be prepared, and kind of sets you up for that type of playoff mentality.
Yeah, I hope our guys take that to heart this week, that it's the beginning of a run. Teams are going to see, so recent memory will help both, your opposition, knowing how the ability of your team to play and perform this time of year. So hopefully that's part of it as well. Obviously, I need to educate myself better on these Western Conference opponents. Both Johnny Stevens and Craig are the coaching staff, been here, the players. So, I mean, they'll get it. They'll get it right. But for me, myself, I know personally I have to do a deeper dive now this time of year before you're trying to. I've said it all along. I think I've always been more focused on my own team. But now, you got to be a little more opponent specific as you get closer to April in the second season.
Down to the final 12 games, Bruce, the next 5 against Pacific Division teams. You touched on it yesterday in your post-game press conference, but maybe if you could give us maybe even a little bit more of an update. Yuri Patera now assigned to the Henderson Silver Knights. Where do things stand? We see Thompson on the ice. We see Brossois on the ice, and who's maybe the closest to joining Jonathan Quick as a tandem right now?
Well, they're both cleared now to play. Now it's about getting reps and game speed and all that. And like I said, I don't know who's going to start each game. I know who's going to start tomorrow. Quickie's going in tomorrow because we want to make sure they come out of this practice healthy. But maybe as early as Thursday we look at LT or LB, and Saturday we'll make that call as we get closer. But it's good to see there's been no residual effect from the injuries from practice. Will that be the case in the games? Well, we'll find out. So we got to find out next, right? And we got to get, we got to get them some work, because eventually we got to shore up sort of what our order is going to look like as we go forward here. But like I said, one day at a time. Let's get them through practice and obviously a game, and hopefully they come out of it okay.
What's it say, Bruce, about your team that we talk about you've used 5 different goalies this year, but it's been 5 since the All-Star break. So we're talking a month and a half or 5 weeks that. Yeah. You're tied for the most wins in the league since the break, and you've had 5 different goalies you've had to use, and they've all been good and won games for you. What's that say about your group in general to be able to overcome that at this point in the season?
Well, I do believe it says something about the team in front of them and how they're playing, so that's a credit to the players. They're not getting rattled who's in nets, and it's a credit to the structure I think we've built in to allow the goalie to go in there and be comfortable. It's a credit to the individual going in. I think Sean Burke and Freddie Brathwaite have done a good job with our goaltenders, obviously all year working with them. So there's a lot of kudos to go around. But yeah, I think you have to have a decent team. You're not going to be able to wheel that many guys in there and get wins. So like I said, I think it's just the Golden Knights crest and guys representing it well, no matter who's in nets, and we've done a good job. And some nights we've had to score some goals to support the goaltenders. Other nights it's block shots, kill a penalty, whatever you have to do to keep the puck out of the net. Different ways to win. That's what's impressed me most about this team. We found different ways to win with, as you said, 5 different goaltenders.
Well, not only goaltenders, and you coming in Golden Knights last year, a lot of the storyline was the injuries. Again, this year, you've tested the depth of the organization. You did it up front. You've done it on D. Now you've done it at goal. But now you're even seeing a guy like Dorofeev, who scores again last night. And how is it for a young player? Like right now, maybe a little easy because his confidence is high because he's getting rewarded like that. Is it harder when he kind of comes in a slump to coach him through that? Is it easier now?
Well, I think we will see that eventually, because right now it's going well for him. But I look at it, he's created a lot of his own opportunities by going to the blue paint and taking hits to make plays and cross checks and getting involved there. So it's not like he's getting these wide open tap ins that you might get lucky for a week or so and be the beneficiary of some great plays. So he's gone to the blue paint. He's made some plays. He's complemented two really smart, cerebral, hardworking players that play 200-foot games. So he's been a nice fit for them. You're not sure how that's going to work out. He's brought a little juice to them with, being a young guy. I think when young guys come in and play well, it excites everybody. He's a good kid.
Seems like a smile on all the time.
It is. It's nice to see that. And I looked at Patera like that too. He was a kid that was excited to be in there, lots of energy, and so I think that can give your team some juice this time of year. And as an organization, there's nothing better than seeing young guys push from underneath. That you want to see the growth, but also for the guys in the room realizing, here's a guy coming after my job. I mean, you live that life where it's you got to make sure you take care of business, and you're a little more focused when those younger guys are doing good work. So that's the part that excites me, and I'm sure the management and player personnel, everyone's that all the work they put in to see the benefits come through, I think is exciting for everyone, but specifically that area of the organization.
You mentioned at the time, Bruce, when Dorofeev came into the lineup on the road trip, it was going to be for Keegan Colasar, and I think you had a conversation with Kelly McCrimmon about where's the best spot to put him, and I wonder, baseball sometimes a guy's a home run hitter in AAA, and they call him up to the majors and they hit him ninth, and it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Did you take that into consideration? Dorofeev had 27 goals last year, and he's an offensively skilled guy.
I talked to Krim about that. I said I did not want to play him sort of go on the road and like the checking role of maybe with Bluger and who was playing with Howie then when Coley had, I think it was, so coming out of Carolina is like we wanted to use him even before that to get a look at him because and at the end of the day, now the teams, we go into Tampa, we win, we go into Carolina, we win. So he probably, I don't even know if he was going to play in St. Louis if Coley doesn't. So I was almost like, well, I got to be, I'm not that guy that won't change a lineup if we win. I'm not superstitious if we have a guy who needs to go in or whatnot. But I did tell Krim, we got to put him in a position to succeed because we don't know how much we're going to see him. So he's going to have to play a little bit up in the lineup with some give and go hockey type of players. And so that's how we landed on Carly and Smitty, and so far it's worked out really well for him. But I've always believed that. That's probably my life in the minors Goucher mentality that, if I ever got called up and, couldn't play to sort of my strength, I always thought, well, it's going to really work against me because I'm probably not here that long anyway. So I try to allow the players to do that when you can. There's other guys in your lineup that work hard on the fourth line that also deserve a chance to move up. You don't want to take away from that either, but in this case it just worked out because the pieces kind of fit, and I think our fourth line, they know how valuable they are, so they don't even consider themselves that. They're going to get their minutes and their opportunity.
I was going to ask that fourth line. You set kind of an identity for it, but you've multiple pieces. The original fourth line is out right now. Carrier, Waugh, Colasar. But last night, it was another new look. You had Howden, Bluger, and Amadio. They started the game and had 2 grade A chances and a bunch early. How is that because of the identity you've set, or you just think everybody kind of buys into that role?
I think they buy in. I think they do. And now Bluger's done that his whole life, and I think Howie, that's one of his better spots. I think if we put Howie up where Barbashev is right now, I don't know if he would have complemented that line as much as maybe where he is down below. And I could be wrong. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I just like the job he's done and being a North mentality, play behind them, put them on their heels kind of, and they've done that. And Amo's a little bit different. He's moved all over the place, and then there's a certain level of physicality that goes with that line and inside ice, and Howie's showing some of that, right? He's gotten a little, ornerier. Is that a word?
Ornery.
It's a tough word.
Over from the start of the year, buying into that. He's watched how Will's Carriers played, and Keegan Colasar. He says, I can bring a little bit of that. I can bring some grease to my game. So, credit to him for changing the way he plays a little bit, his mindset, and it's been real valuable for us. I can't say enough good things about what that line's done for us and try to help us get games going or get our game back on track.
Jack Eichel with a hat trick yesterday, Bruce. Shane was mentioning guys of Jack's caliber that hadn't scored in seven, right? The importance for him to see the puck go in the net, the way, and the way he scored, some different ways last night. But could you speak to that of just what it means for a guy that has the talent and the skill set that he has.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. That's funny because I thought he's played pretty well offensively and made some plays and had the puck. So good for him. I think those guys need that. Otherwise, it becomes a story, and then it's a story, and you know that now you're in your own head a little bit, even though you could be doing really good things. The team's playing well, etc. So I thought he's really worked hard on his face-offs for one. Jack has really stepped it up in that area. So he's trying to round out his game. So, but again, happy for him and Phil. It's been a while for Phil too, right?
Yeah.
I think he needed something good to happen. So probably good for both guys.
Kind of spread it around last night. Is that good to kind of have? You said maybe it was a closer game, but for them to break out offensively here before heading on a tough road trip.
I think so. Guys don't want to go too long. I mean, we went through it earlier in the year with a number of guys, right? It seems everyone's lived it on our team for a stretch and come out at the other side in better shape. That's the way I look at it. We're still a first-place team, and just because you had a tough 2 weeks or whatever, we're still fine. We're okay, and that's kind of the messaging. Help the team win, if you're not scoring. And I think Riley Smith went through it. Carly went through it. I see, to me, Carly's flying. He's playing as fast as he's played all year. Marshy went through it right now. He's come out the other side okay. So there's a lot of different guys. And as long as you keep winning and the rest of your teammates pick you up, that's always a good thing.
And the power play, did you get a good sleep last night?
Wasn't that good?
We asked him about the power play when it's
we
bad.
asked
We should
bad,
ask
so
him
I
when
can
it's
say now. The power play was...
It was effective. We made the plays that we talked about, getting closer to the net. Listen, if one group's ahead of the other, we'll go to that group. Like, we're trying not to play favorites. You need your top group to get their opportunities, but it's okay if the other group pushes them and you have 1A and 1B, and maybe that's what we're setting ourselves up for.
Are you at a point now in the season, Bruce, in the final 12 games that do you look day to day where you're at in the standings, or do you not try to focus too much on that?
We don't bring it up internally with the players much. More about pockets of where we are during the year, and as you said, divisional opponents. So that'll be addressed when we get to Vancouver. Hey, we got to start thinking about this now. I look at it because I'm kind of thinking ahead a little bit. I've always believed you got to accumulate. You can't have too many bad weeks. Never mind months. And our month in January wasn't great, so we had to make up some ground. We talked about playing winning hockey out of the break, and I think the guys have taken that to heart. So I do look at it, and I've looked at sort of now. Okay, what are the magic numbers here a little bit? What do we need to be? How many wins do we need sort of get in first? Some of these things, but it's all hypothetical, right? Because you don't know how the other teams are going to play. And a little bit of that, Goucher is probably because we're got to acclimate some guys back into the lineup here. So there's a little bit of that, like at what risk, and some of that's at the goaltending position. So you want to make sure that you're giving them the best chance, but still taking care of business.
I just look at who's in ninth. So now you've got a 15-point edge. How far do you have to fall?
Did you ever guess it would be like I'm looking one day Nashville. I'm like, are they even still in the race? I thought they traded all their players at the deadline.
Right
within striking distance.
And then you look and see like they're still in it. So I know Calgary. I know Calgary's been well talked about, and we only saw Nashville really quick, so I didn't remember much about talking about playoffs then. And Minnie's had a hell of a run.
Yeah. Winnipeg's given everybody a chance with their play.
Yeah, they've kind of gone backwards. So. There's always good storylines within the division and the conference, so we just got to keep taking care of business.
Bruce, thanks for this very much. We appreciate it as always.
All right, fellas.
All right, Bruce Cassidy joining us, Golden Knights head coach. The team heading out here shortly to Vancouver, 3-game swing, Canucks, Flames, and Oilers. Coming up this week, nighttime at noon with Dave and Shane rolling along here. Quick reminder for you that, attention Golden Knights fans, we need your help in welcoming AFC Bournemouth to the Foley Entertainment Group, also known as the Cherries. AFC Bournemouth plays in the prestigious English Premier League, where they consistently take on some of the best football teams in the world. Show your support for the Cherries by catching their matches via stream on Peacock TV. And to learn more and to be a part of this team's exciting new era, make sure to visit afcb.co.uk. Up the Cherries, as they say. Dave and Shane with you nighttime at noon. Our thanks once again to Golden Knights head coach Bruce Cassidy for joining us. Lots more to come after this on Fox Sports Las Vegas.